Greetings, fellow adventurers. I'm Max with PEAK D&D.
And I'm Ben. Welcome to the Peak.
We're here in the Rocky Mountains helping you elevate your game in 5th edition Dungeons & Dragons and possibly life.
Now, in this episode of Peaked Interest, we're talking about ability scores, what they mean, how they affect your character and your D&D game on and off the game table.
So let's roll some initiative and get to it.
In the last video, we introduced you to this beauty, your character sheet. We gave you a rundown of what it even is, what all is on it, and how to use it.
Today we're going to build off what you've already learned and do a deep dive into your attributes, the 6 abilities that ultimately define your mental and physical capabilities of you and every other player, monster, villager, queen, king, shopkeep that you encounter.
Now, before going any further, I want to go ahead and make something clear. If you're looking for a video about how to roll a character, actually generate the numbers you're going to use to make that character, that's not really what we're going to be doing here today. I figured I'd save you a little time.
Yeah, our video on the secret to rolling a character you love is the culmination of this series, so stay tuned. That said, Ben and I are big believers of covering the basics and building a really strong foundation first. That way, when it comes time for you to make your beloved character, you'll be in much better shape to bring your ideas to life.
So, your ability scores. These are the 6 categories that go down the left-hand side of your character sheet. In order, they are Strength, Dexterity, Constitution, Intelligence, Wisdom, and Charisma.
Your top 3 are physical abilities. Your bottom 3 are your mental capabilities.
Now, each one of these abilities is going to be represented by a number between 3 and 20. 10 to 11 is considered average. Anything below that threshold starts to actively make doing things in the game more difficult, and anything above makes it a little easier.
When talking 5th editions of Dungeons & Dragons, the basic rule of thumb is the higher the better. Whether we're talking hit points, armor class, experience...
Whoa there. One thing at a time, my friend. You're getting a little off topic, and there's still a lot to cover.
I just get so excited, I can't help it.
Oh, me too.
Where were we?
Now, I was explaining to the fine friends at home,
Or work.
don't let your boss catch you, about how each of the 6 attributes are going to be represented by a number. That high is good, low is bad, and 10 to 11 is your average Joe.
Right, yes. In order for this game to work, Gygax and those crazy cats back in the day decided to quantify how strong, agile, healthy, smart, wise, and personable you were. That way you could roll a die to determine if you succeeded at a given task or you didn't.
Now, the game would be way harder to manage if your DM said, okay, roll a dex check, and you reply, I rolled an 8. But in my head, I made this character and I want them to be really quick on their feet, like good at hiding and stuff. I don't know what that means for you, but...
So to avoid having to go through that with each player on every check, they simplified it. Oh, you're really quick on your feet and good at hiding? Awesome. You've got a dexterity of 17. Add 3 to your roll.
Easy peasy, lemon squeezy. So to review, everyone in the game has 6 different ability scores or stats, and each one of these has a number assigned to it to demonstrate how good or bad you are in that particular skill set. Now, let's get a little deeper, starting with strength.
Good old strength, always there for us, making it easier to hit baddies with most weapons, helping us do more damage when we do hit said baddies. Gotta love a high strength score.
Oh, especially if you're thinking of making a fighter, barbarian, monk, or paladin, or pretty much anything that isn't going to be going zappy zap from a distance with spells, or firing arrows, or using just finesse weapons.
Trying to break down the locked door between you and the captives? Need to bend a bar? Lift a gate, perhaps? That's strength.
And as the name implies, strength is, well, how strong you are. It's the attribute that affects things like how fast you can run or swim, how high or long you can jump, and how hard you hit. Basically, it's, yo bro, how much you bench?
Yeah, that's strength.
Which brings us next to dexterity.
Actually, let's jump to Constitution next. I know, you're a lawful good paladin, you like to go in order, just trust me. If strength is dishing it out, how well you can throw a punch, Constitution is how well you can take one.
Oh, okay. I like that. Yes, absolutely. Strength determines how good you are at hitting things, and Constitution determines how good you are at being hit. It's the attribute that determines how many hit points you have, or in other words, how hard you are to kill.
Yep. Hit points are your total health. Every time you get hit by a sword, spell, trap, empty bottle in a bar fight, that number comes off your total hit points. If you get down to 0, it's lights out and possibly shuffling off this mortal coil.
In addition to adding hit points, your Constitution score also represents your hardiness, your resilience, your endurance, your immune system, and how far you can end up pushing yourself.
Constitution equals the amount of punishment your body can take before it breaks down.
Resisting the drugs you know the shady noble poured into your drink when you weren't looking, or running the whole 14 miles to catch up to the caravan you're supposed to be guarding, or trying to hold your breath while the pit you're in fills with water. All of these are based on your Constitution.
So is chugging a beer, or a potion. Hey, winning that always important drinking contest to prove your mettle to the dwarves matters.
But if it's a hot dog eating competition with the humans, then dexterity is going to play a part in that as well.
Yes, Ben, I love that. Are you a mall cop? Because that was a great segue.
And that was a terrible joke. Okay, dexterity. That's the name of the game for how physically quick you are. It's your reaction time, your hand-eye coordination, your fancy footwork, your balance, and how nimble and sneaky you are.
2 words that help me wrap my brain around dexterity are grace and precision. How fluid you move, how good you aim, how easy or difficult it is for you to move silently and stay hidden.
Need to tie up some bad guys or wriggle free from the bad guys that tied you up? Dexterity.
Are you super hungry, out of money, and really tempted to go steal one of those many delicious looking apples piled high as your eye on that cart over there? Your dex is going to be what determines if you get caught or not.
And the same goes for those times when you've got to leap from your own horse onto the driver's seat of the runaway cart to try to stop it before it goes barreling over a cliff.
Or to jump back off the cart in the nick of time, in case that's how that plays out.
Doing really fine carving and detail work and playing banjo would also be things that would use your dexterity score to determine the outcome. But I'm pretty sure playing a tuba wouldn't. I think that would be Constitution.
And your dexterity is going to be what helps you use finesse weapons. Those are your quicker, pointier weapons. Rapiers, daggers, short swords, arrows.
It's easier to hit and do more damage with most ranged weapons if you've got a high dexterity score. Just something to keep in mind for all you folks who like to snipe from a distance and stay out of the fray.
And that's dexterity. It's the attribute responsible for balancing, dancing, aiming, accuracy, hiding, sneaking, stealing, dodging. Basically, it's how good you are at using your hands and feet and how quick you are when you hear
Think fast!
Wait, wouldn't that be intelligence?
Why, yes, Max, it would. If dexterity is think fast, intelligence is how fast you think.
Oh. So far, we've covered the 3 physical attributes, the ones that determine your abilities and capabilities of the physical body. Now we're going to shift the focus towards the mental side of things.
And to do that, we're going to start with intelligence, the wellspring of power for all you wizards out there, and a generally good attribute for the smarty pants and know-it-alls of the party.
Want to identify that spell the evil sorcerer just cast when nothing appeared to happen?
Intelligence.
Trying to remember who won the Great War of Wandersnooch.
Intelligence.
Determining if the holy symbol you're about to pick up belongs to Merkel or Mistra. They look so similar.
Intelligence. You can also throw knowing what owlbears eat and the mating habits of manticores in there too.
Yep, all the skills you'd use to see if you know those things are based upon your intelligence score. Lots of other things too.
Forging false orders to throw off the opposing battalion, or picking out the right disguise to go along with your cover story. Winning a game of chess is also related to intelligence.
As is how good you are at searching for things like traps, hidden passages, or even clues.
Oh yeah, the investigation skill is a good one, and it's based on your intelligence score. It's what determines how good of a CSI operative you can be. It's what lets you find those muddy footprints outside the building, locate the lost locks of hair, or find the missing piece of the metaphorical or actual puzzle that you're solving.
All those things and more. That's intelligence. It's your book smarts, how well you learn new information, memory recall, abstract thinking, and your ability to interrogate and dig into your surroundings in order to learn about them.
I'm glad you said that, because when it comes to learning about your surroundings, intelligence isn't the only way. There's a whole nother one based on your gut feelings, your intuition, and how finely tuned your senses are.
Wisdom.
Trying to settle down the spooked horse that just galloped into your camp on third watch?
Wisdom.
Or looking to spot the sneaky halfling hiding in the shadows?
Wiggity wisdom.
Standing trial for a crime you surely didn't commit, and are really curious what that magistrate and his council are whispering about?
Wisdom. The score of lovers of all gastronomy and culinary arts. It's the one that's going to let you pick up the subtle hints of vanilla at the king's fancy party, and sniff out the farmhands you might be trying to find at the bar.
It's also the skill that'll keep you alive out in the wilderness.
leave it to the Eagle Scout to bring up wilderness survival.
Oh yeah, whether it's checking out the weather rolling in, picking a good spot to camp, starting a fire at said camp, tracking game, or even realizing the puddle you're about to step in is actually an ooze that's about to eat your foot. Wisdom is an important ability score.
It is. It gives clerics, druids, rangers, and paladins their magic mojo. It makes monks harder to hit, and is the general go-to for all those who want to be street smart, rely on their gut, and get a feel for people, places, and situations.
I like to think of it like this. Walking into a room and immediately sensing it's trapped, that's wisdom. But being able to find and disarm the trap is intelligence. Like we said, there are two paths to gathering that information. Intelligence is more active. It's looking for the information. Wisdom is more passive. It's being tuned into the information already coming your way.
Wisdom is the attribute that allows you to walk into a room and immediately know what's going on. Charisma is the one that helps you use that information to your advantage.
Oh, charisma. How I love thee. A dump stat of oh so many previous editions, but ever so important in 5e. Finally.
Vindication!
Ben's right. You're going to have the lowest number you rolled for your attributes go somewhere. And for most people, that somewhere is charisma.
Yeah, now I've got a character with a 5 charisma that I absolutely love, but here's the thing. The game always goes a lot smoother when at least someone in the party has a good charisma score.
Oh, totally. As sexy as exploring all the dungeons and fighting all the dragons is, most of your time in the game is spent talking to people, trying to convince them to tell you how to find the dungeons and dragons.
Yes, friends, it turns out that in a game full of swords, monsters, treasure, and spells, it ends up taking a lot of talking to rescue the prince, save the kingdom, or stop the evil god from appearing.
New in town and looking to learn the lay of the land?
Charisma.
Did you manage to leave one alive and now you're gonna scare the bejesus out of them to learn all about the dastardly plan?
Charisma.
Trying to make your way through the realm as a stand-up comic?
Charisma. It's how good you are at talking and how comfortable you are in social situations. When you find yourself using your words and not your muscles to do the heavy lifting, that's what a charisma score is for, baby.
It's the one that determines if you made a good impression on the visiting dignitaries, how well you lie to the authorities, not shooting yourself in the foot by saying the wrong thing at the wrong time, and maybe, just maybe, picking up that hottie at the tavern. Heyo!
Yep, if you're trying to entertain a crowd or blend in and not get noticed in that crowd, that's all charisma. So is how well you lie, convince, or intimidate. It's what lets warlocks, bards, and sorcerers go pew pew, and it helps those paladins be oh so holy.
But unlike most other attributes in Dungeons & Dragons, the onus is on you, the player, to find opportunities to use your charisma score.
Fighting, doing damage, getting hit, dodging out of the way, remembering an important fact, and noticing something around you. These all happen very organically in the course of the game.
Which means the attributes tied to all of these things regularly have their time to shine, or sabotage.
A charisma, on the other hand, is something you've got to actively seek out opportunities to use to your advantage, and usually takes a bit more creativity to use well.
If you've got a high charisma, you've got an incredible opportunity to help your party in non-combat situations, because you talk real good and stuff.
And those are your ability scores. That's what those 6 little words and corresponding boxes and circles on the left-hand side of your character sheet actually mean.
Understanding these will bring you one step closer to bringing that character rattling around in your brain to life and making them awesome.
Because at the end of the day, feeling awesome about a character you love is what D&D is all about.
Hey, thanks for sticking around and hanging out with us today.
That's right. Hopefully, we piqued your interests.
And gave you something to think about to help you elevate your game.
Now, let us know in the comments below your favorite ability scores and dump stat combinations. Did you ever have a character with a low score that you loved anyways? Drop their story in the comments section.
And for more Peak D&D content, roll to hit that subscribe button and make sure to drop the warnings around that little notification bell so you don't accidentally get skipped.
As the channel levels up, be sure to check back here for more Dungeons & Dragons content. Keep on climbing and never stop elevating your game.
Until next time, catch you on top of the peak.